Hi there. Let me take a few minutes and go through the first regression and correlation AP review question. I'll go through my solution here. So it probably may take longer to read the question than to actually do the question. So essentially, we're trying to see if garlic oil can be used as a way to repel birds in order to avoid crop damage. So we have an explanatory variable in this experiment, the garlic oil concentration that's being put into food granules. The values of the explanatory variable are 0% concentration, 2%, 10%, 25%, and 50%. And then we have the average number of food granules that is consumed by the birds, which are presented with these granules. Here is the response variable then. So graphing the explanatory and response variable together, we can get an idea in part one whether or not linear regression might be an appropriate model to represent these data. So when you create a graph, it's very important that you label. The explanatory variable along the x-axis would be garlic oil concentration. You need to describe it, and then you need to actually label values. So here's 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%. I'm using tick marks that represent 5 percentage point increments. So the response variable is the number of granules consumed. So that is also described, and then you can see the increments that I'm using along the y-axis, 10 granules, 20 granules, etc. So the red dots simply represent the ordered pairs that I was given in my data table, and that's it. So really important though, when you are drawing a scatter plot, even one as simple as this, it is so important to make sure that you label, not just in terms of words, what the explanatory and response variable represent, but also you have to label the scale along the x-axis and the y-axis so that the points can be interpreted. So then the last part of the question is just based on this graph, do you believe that a linear regression model is appropriate? And then explain. So make sure that you answer the question. It is a yes or no question, and the explanation does not have to be long and complicated. I would say no. And you can read my answer here, but the bottom line is if you look at the scatter plot, this scatter plot shows a curve. This scatter plot does not necessarily show a straight line trend. In other words, what I see here is a curved shape, which means that linear regression as a model probably isn't the best way to represent these data. Actually, in our next unit, we will look at models that we can use in order to represent data that may show a curved scatter plot. That's all there is to this first question.